Picture this. It's May 29th, 1453. The dawn sky over Constantinople bleeds red. Mist curls around the Theodosian walls, those colossal ramparts that had stood unbroken for 1,000 years, guarding the last remnant of the Roman Empire. Inside the city, Emperor Constantine XI, Palaiologos, the last emperor of Byzantium, walks the ancient halls of Hagia Sophia. The chants of priests echo through the marble domes as he prays, not for victory, but for dignity. Around him, only 7,000 defenders remain. Greeks, Venetians, Genoese, and citizens armed with little more than faith and fury. Outside, stretching to the horizon, the Ottoman army gathers, a sea of banners, spears, and cannons. At their heart stands Sultan Mehmed II, just 21 years old, but already dreaming of eternity. His goal? To finish what centuries of conquerors had failed, to crush the Roman legacy and claim the crossroads of the world. And beside him, the monsters of his age, massive bronze cannons, each capable of hurling a stone the size of a man. When they fire, the earth shakes. When they strike, the walls of empire tremble. For 53 days, thunder and flame batter Constantinople's heart. The city's defenders rebuild walls by torchlight, fight by day, pray by night. Ships burn in the Golden Horn, smoke chokes the sky, and the ground tremble under the relentless Ottoman barrage. Then, in the gray light of May 29th, destiny arrives. A small postern gate, Kerkoporta, is left open, perhaps by chance, perhaps by fate. The Janissaries flood in. Emperor Constantine throws down his purple cloak, draws his sword, and vanishes into the storm. The city falls. The Byzantine Empire, the last echo of Rome, dies with him. And from its ashes rises a new power, the Ottoman Empire, stretching across continents, reshaping faith, trade, and the very map of the world. But this wasn't just the end of an empire. It was the end of the Middle Ages and the birth of the modern world. Refugees fleeing west would carry lost knowledge that ignited the Renaissance. Europe, cut off from the east, would turn to the seas and discover new worlds. This was the fall of Constantinople, where cannon fire shattered the past, and from the rubble of empire, a new age began.
Part 1. Setup: The Twilight of Byzantium. The year is 1453, and the once mighty Byzantine Empire, the last flicker of Rome's eternal flame, has faded to a dying ember. 1,000 years after the fall of the Western Empire, what was once the jewel of Christendom has withered into a city-state, clinging to its walls and its memories. Once, the emperors of Constantinople ruled from Spain to Syria. Now the empire is reduced to a handful of ports, crumbling fortresses, and the Sacred Heart itself, Constantinople. Its domes still gleam under the sun, but its streets are empty, its coffers bare, its people weary. The wounds of the 1204 Fourth Crusade, when Latin Christians sacked their Orthodox brethren, have never healed. Centuries of civil war, plague, and betrayal have stripped the empire of its strength. And looming on every horizon is the crescent of the Ottoman Turks. By 1453, the city stands as the last Christian stronghold in an Islamic sea, a relic surrounded by a rising empire that has already swallowed Asia Minor and the Balkans. At its head stands Emperor Constantine XI Palaiologos, the last Roman emperor. Crowned in 1449, he rules a city of ghosts with a heart of iron. He has no illusions. He knows his empire is dying, but he will not let it die quietly. So he sends word across Christendom, pleading for aid, to Venice, to Genoa, to Rome itself. Yet Europe is deaf. The 100 Years' War is still smoldering. Kingdoms squabble over crowns, while the East faces extinction. The Pope offers prayers and a handful of mercenaries. In the end, only 700 Genoese soldiers, led by the hardened captain Giovanni Giustiniani, answer the call. They bring skill, gunpowder, and faith. But against what's coming, it's a drop in an ocean. Across the Bosporus, a storm is forming. In 1451, the Ottoman throne passes to a young sultan, Mehmed II, barely 19, brilliant, ruthless, and obsessed. From childhood, he was raised on prophecy that one day a great ruler would take Constantinople and unite East and West under the crescent. He believes he is that ruler. He wastes no time. He orders the construction of Rumeli Haiseri, a fortress on the European shore of the Bosporus, its cannons aimed directly at the sea lanes feeding Constantinople. Any ship that dares pass without permission is sunk. The city is choked, cut off from trade, from aid, from hope. Then comes his masterstroke. Mehmed recruits a renegade Hungarian cannon master named Orban, a genius of iron and powder. Together they forge the Basilica, the largest cannon the world has ever seen, 27 feet long, firing a 1,200-pound stone that can shatter walls built by emperors long dead. It takes 60 oxen and hundreds of men just to move it. When it fires, the thunder can be heard 10 miles away. Against this, the Byzantines have the Theodosian walls, 3 layers of fortifications, towers and moats stretching 14 miles around the city, built 1,000 years earlier to repel Attila the Hun. They have withstood every siege in history until now. Inside, only 7,000 to 10,000 defenders, Greeks, Venetians, monks, and citizens, stand ready. Outside, between 80,000 and 200,000 Ottoman soldiers wait in disciplined ranks. Infantry, cavalry, and the elite janissaries, the Sultan's enslaved warriors, trained from childhood to fight without fear. As the armies prepare, omens fill the sky. A lunar eclipse turns the moon blood red over the city, a sign many believe foretells Constantinople's fall. Prophets whisper that when the crescent covers the moon, the cross will fade forever. The stage is set. An empire that once ruled the world stands on the brink. The heirs of Rome face the heirs of conquest, and within weeks, one civilization will vanish forever.
Part 2. The siege ignites. Bombardment and desperation. April 6th through 20th, 1453. April 6th, 1453. A crimson dawn rises over the Thracian plain. As the Ottoman banners unfurl to the horizon, hundreds of standards rippling beneath the crescent moon. The city's bells toll for prayer. From the ramparts of Constantinople, defenders look out upon an army so vast it seems to swallow the earth. The siege has begun.
At Mehmet's signal, the ground trembles. The great cannon Basilica thunders, a roar like Judgment Day itself. Its first stone ball smashes into the Theodosian walls with an apocalyptic force, sending shards of marble and dust into the sky. What emperors built to endure 1,000 years begins to splinter in hours. The bombardment never ceases. Day after day, Urban's monstrous cannons vomit fire, and each blast feels like a death knell for Rome itself. Yet every night, under flickering torchlight, the defenders rebuild, patching breaches with rubble, earth, timber, even corpses. The men work by prayer and exhaustion, knowing that by dawn the walls will crumble again. Inside the city, fear and faith wrestle for dominion. Priests carry relics through the streets. Chants echo in Hagia Sophia, pleading for divine deliverance. But above the hymns, another sound grows, the unrelenting drumbeat of Mehmet's army, closing in like a heartbeat of doom. The sea offers no refuge. A massive iron chain stretches across the mouth of the Golden Horn, sealing the inner harbor, a last desperate measure to block Ottoman ships. For weeks it holds, but Mehmet, ever the visionary, refuses to be denied. Then comes April 22nd, the day ingenuity conquers impossibility. Under cover of darkness, Mehmet orders 70 ships to be hauled overland, across the hills of Galata, on greased logs and oxen-drawn sleds. Witnesses watch in disbelief as the Sultan's fleet glides silently over earth and grass, sails furled, oars poised like specters in the night. By dawn, the ships re-enter the water behind the chain, inside the Golden Horn. A miracle of logistics, a masterpiece of strategy. The defenders stare, stunned. The impregnable harbor is no longer safe. Panic grips the city. Constantine XI rides the walls in armor, rallying his men, his voice cutting through smoke and fear. The city is in your hands. If we must fall, let us fall with honor. The Ottomans tighten their grip. Underminers dig tunnels beneath the walls, planting charges of gunpowder. The Byzantines counter with Greek fire, flooding the earth and suffocating the sappers in their own trenches. Siege towers, armored and monstrous, roll toward the battlements, only to be burned by desperate sorties. Each day becomes a struggle for breath. Food runs thin, disease spreads, and still no relief comes. Far away, a Western fleet gathers, but the winds betray them, and the courage of kings withers. Constantinople stands utterly alone, a single flame in the dark, surrounded by the empire of night. The thunder of cannons continues. Every blast tears away another piece of stone and another piece of hope. But within the walls, faith endures. The last Romans will not surrender.
Part 3. Turning Points, Assaults and Omens. April 21 to May 28, 1453. The siege had dragged on for over a month, the air itself thick with smoke, dust, and despair. Constantinople's defenders were starving, sleepless, but unbroken. Beyond the walls, Mehmed's vast army prepared to finish what Alexander,
Attila and countless emperors had failed to do, to erase the last breath of Rome. April 18. Under a moonless sky, Mehmed unleashed his fury. Tens of thousands of Bashi bazooks, wild, unpaid irregulars, surged against the walls, shouting Allahu Akbar as horns and drums echoed through the valley of the Lycus. Flaming arrows rained down. The ground turned slick with mud and blood. But atop the ramparts, Giovanni Giustiniani, the Genoese commander, held the line, his crossbowmen cutting through the chaos, oil and stone cascading onto the attackers. When dawn broke, the field below the Theodosian walls was carpeted with Ottoman dead. For a moment, the city dared to hope. But Mohammed was relentless. Night after night, cannon fire tore into the crumbling bastions, the basilica's thunder rolling like distant gods at war. May 12 brought another infernal push. The elite janissaries advanced in tight ranks, their faces painted, their chants rising like a storm. Giustiniani's men met them with desperate fury, steel against scimitar, faith against fate, until the Ottomans, bloodied and broken, fell back. But even in victory, the Byzantines paid dearly. The defenders were few, their wounds were many. Then the Omens came. On May 22, the moon, symbol of Byzantium, turned blood red in a lunar eclipse. From the minarets of the Ottoman camp, cheers erupted, prophecy fulfilled, the crescent devouring the light of the empire. Inside the city, terror spread like wildfire. 2 days later, during a sacred procession, the revered icon of the Virgin Hodegetria slipped from its bearer's hands and shattered on the stones. Many wept. Some whispered the unthinkable, that even heaven had turned its face away. Morale faltered, but Mohammed II faced turmoil. His army, worn by disease and attrition, murmured of retreat. The Sultan knew the time had come for one final throw of fate. He summoned his generals, offering mercy to the city if it surrendered. The offer was generous: spare the people, spare the churches, but Constantine XI refused. Standing before his council in the torchlit palace, the last emperor of Rome declared, "To surrender is to betray the faith and the city of our fathers. The city may fall, but I will not yield. We die as Romans." On May 28th, he gathered nobles, soldiers, and priests in Hagia Sophia, the great church of Justinian. They prayed together, Greeks, Genoese, monks, and commoners alike, sharing bread, tears, and absolution. Then Constantine rode the walls one last time, his crimson cloak rippling in the night breeze. He spoke softly to his men. "It is better to die than to live in shame." That night, the city slept in silence. Beyond the walls, the Ottoman camp blazed with torches, tens of thousands flickering like stars. Muhammad had ordered the drums to beat until dawn. At first light, the final assault would begin. The empire of 1,000 years had one night left to live.
Part 4. The Bloody Climax. The Final Assault. May 29th, 1453. 2 a.m.
A chill wind sweeps over the battered walls of Constantinople. Then the silence shatters. Trumpets blare, drums thunder like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Sultan Mehmed II unleashes his final storm. 3 waves, no mercy, no retreat. First come the Bazooks, the irregulars, howling in frenzy, surging through the darkness. They're not meant to win, they're meant to die, to exhaust the defenders, to fill the moats with their own corpses. Flaming arrows streak the sky. Greek fire bursts like miniature suns. From the ramparts, Byzantine and Genoese archers rain bolts and oil upon the chaos below. The Bazooks falter, break, and are cut down, but their sacrifice opens the way. Next, the Anatolian regulars advance in tight formation. Behind them, the great cannons roar again, shaking heaven and earth. Stones the weight of oxen smash into the crumbling walls. The very ground trembles beneath the Basilica's wrath. Through the dust and screams, men fight hand to hand, sword, pike, axe, and faith. Then, as dawn's first pale light touches the domes, the Janissaries move in. Ottoman elite, the Sultan's own, the finest soldiers in the known world. Drums beat the march of destiny. Their white turbans gleam through smoke as they storm the Lycus Valley breach, the same breach defended for weeks by Giovanni Giustiniani. But fate turns cruel. A cannonball splinters nearby. Giustiniani is struck, gravely wounded. His men carry him away, blood streaming down the stones. A whisper spreads like poison. Giustiniani has fallen. Panic ripples through the lines. Emperor Constantine XI gallops to the breach, rallying what remains. He cries, "For Rome, for Christ, hold the walls!" They fight like lions, but the end is already written. At the Kerko Porta gate, a small, forgotten postern left ajar. Ottoman troops slip inside. A trick of fate or divine will, no one knows. Janissaries flood through, flanking the defenders from within. The cry echoes through the city. The Turks are in. The walls collapse into chaos. By sunrise, Constantinople, once the queen of cities, is a war zone of fire and screams. Street by street, the defenders fall back. Priests carry relics through alleys. Mothers clutch children, running for the great Hagia Sophia. Inside, thousands huddle beneath the golden dome, praying as the doors are barred. Outside, Mehmed's green standard rises over the shattered battlements. The Roman Empire, the last remnant of antiquity, has fallen. On the ramparts, Constantine XI Palaeologus, the last emperor of Byzantium, removes his imperial robes. He draws his sword and cries out, "The city has fallen, and I am still alive." Then he charges into the melee, disappearing beneath the tide of Janissaries. His body is never found. By noon, the sack begins. 3 days of looting, blood, and ruin. 4,000 dead, 50,000 enslaved. The streets run red. The air fills with smoke and lamentation. Yet amid the devastation, Mehmed rides in, calm, regal, astride a white horse.
He enters Hagia Sophia, where terrified refugees kneel in silence. The young conqueror dismounts, gazes up at the vast dome, and whispers, "Be at peace." Then he orders a muezzin to climb the pulpit. The call to prayer rings out through the echoing hall, the first in 1,000 years. The cross of Byzantium falls, and the crescent rises. Rome's final flame is extinguished. The Middle Ages end. A new empire and a new world begins.
Part 5. Aftermath and Legacy. A world transformed. The smoke of battle still hung over the Bosporus. The city once called Constantinople, the jewel of Christendom, now bore a new name whispered through its ashes, Istanbul. For 1,000 years, it had been the shield between East and West. Now it became the beating heart of a new empire. Mehmed II, just 21, entered not merely as a conqueror, but as a visionary. He rebuilt the shattered capital into his imperial seat, the city of the world's desire. Hagia Sophia became a mosque, yet its domes and mosaics still spoke of Rome. From this reborn city, the Ottoman Empire surged outwards, sweeping across the Balkans, mastering the Mediterranean, and one day knocking at Vienna's gates. But beyond the smoke and cannon, the world itself shifted. Fleeing Byzantine scholars carried their manuscripts westward. Ancient Greek philosophy, science, and art sparking the embers of the Renaissance. Aristotle, Plato, and the forgotten wisdom of antiquity found new voices in Florence, Venice, and beyond. The fall of Constantinople didn't just end an empire, it rebirthed knowledge itself. Meanwhile, Europe trembled. With Ottoman fleets ruling the eastern seas, the old Silk Road was cut. Trade with the East collapsed. Desperate for new routes to Asia, princes and explorers turned to the ocean. Within a generation, Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and Magellan would set sail, ushering in the age of exploration. The world map was redrawn because one city fell. Yet Constantinople's legacy is more than history. It's a warning. It was faith divided that doomed Byzantium, East against West, Latin against Greek, Christian against Christian. It was innovation, gunpowder, and cannon that shattered the unbreakable walls of Rome's last fortress. And it is empire itself that proved mortal. To the Greeks, the city remains a wound, a symbol of lost glory. To the Turks, it stands as triumph, a moment when destiny turned eastward. But for all of us, Constantinople is a mirror, reflecting both humanity's brilliance and its fragility. From its ruins rose new worlds, new ideas, and new empires. The age of castles and crusades ended that morning in 1453. The modern world began. The fall of Constantinople wasn't just the end of Byzantium. It was the turning of the tide of civilization itself. No empire is eternal. Only the echoes endure.
Conclusion: the echo of an empire. So, History Guardians, what do you think? Was Mehmed the Conqueror a ruthless destroyer of worlds, or a visionary who forged the bridge between East and West? Did Constantine XI, last emperor of Rome, fall because of fate,
or because a divided Christendom turned its gaze away. The fall of Constantinople wasn't just the death of a city. It was the end of one civilization and the birth of another. From its ashes rose the Ottoman Empire, the Renaissance, and the Age of Exploration, the world as we know it. The cannons thundered, the walls crumbled, but the echoes still shape every shore touched by empire, trade, and faith. So, tell me, what lesson do you draw from that May morning in 1453? That innovation topples tradition, that unity saves nations, or that no empire, no matter how gilded its walls, stands forever? If this saga of steel, faith, and destiny gripped you, like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more stories where the fate of the world balanced on a blade's edge. This was the fall of Constantinople, the siege that ended an empire, ignited a new age, and reminded the world that even the greatest walls cannot hold back time. Until next time, keep your courage unbroken, your alliances true, and your history alive.